Every week I'll be coming to you every week, sharing with you my 10 top movies of all time. Just my personal opinion on the movies that I love, that changed my life, that changed cinema forever, that came a big part of my life. And I'm giving you my opinions, giving you brief histories, giving you little trivias on the movies that a lot of movies you may not know about. May look at movies from a way different point of view after watching this series right now. So let's get into Let's Talk Movies. I'm gonna make it real brief. I'm gonna be going through this real fast. I'm gonna be sharing a lot of information, so everybody gotta bear with me. Try to comprehend much as you can comprehend to talk about my 10 top movies that I love the most. And this episode right here is going to be based on my 10 top mob/gangster movies. I'm going to be naming the year they came out, the actors in it, and certain scenes from the movie, certain things, the trivia you might not know about the movies. And I'm a movie buff. Like, I've always been a movie buff since I was a young boy. And movies changed my life, it rearranged my life, it kept me on a narrow path. I'm a person of the arts. I love performances, and I love actors and actresses who can give you a performance and take you into another world, out of this plane, on this earthly plane, and take you to another dimension, and take us into places that our imaginations can just roam. So let's get right into it right now. My top 10 gangster movies. I'm going to start from 10 on down to number 1. I like to talk about the number 10. Let's talk about number 10. The movie that I like to talk about is Once Upon a Time in America. This is the movie right here, man. Real classic gangster joint. Once Upon a Time in America, starring Robert De Niro. Real classic gangster joint. All the true gangster mob lovers know about this movie right here. Once Upon a Time in America it was done in 1984 by Sergio Leone. Now, Sergio Leone, for people who don't know, movie buffs that see deep into the movies know who Sergio Leone was. He was the godfather of the westerns. Like, Martin Scorsese is the godfather of the gangster movies. He was the godfather of the westerns. Him and Clint Eastwood had a close relationship together. He put a lot of Clint Eastwood in his movies, like The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Once Upon a Time in the West, and a lot of movies like that, the old westerns, the spaghetti westerns, what they was called. He was the king of those. But he did this gangster flick in '84. It was started Robert De Niro, James Woods, Joe Pesci had a small part in it, real small part in it. William Forsythe had a good part in it. He was one of the guys that grew up with Noodles. Noodles was Robert De Niro's character. And Danny Aiello was in it. We have a lot of other well-known people and actors that you may see in it, that see throughout movie history, and look at them and say, oh yeah, I remember that person, I remember that person. And Once Upon a Time in America was based on Robert De Niro. Like I said, his name was Noodles, and it's about him being an old man, just reminiscing about when he was a young buck growing up during the Prohibition time, and as a gangster doing petty crimes and stuff like that. And it was a well-directed movie. The Godfather Part 2. I definitely liked it way better than Part 1. And Part 1 is always going to be a classic. But Part 2 right here, man, this DVD right here, definitely a classic in its own. Let's get to number 9. Number 9, The Godfather Part 2. Godfather Part 2 was directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Francis Ford Coppola. I don't gotta get into it. Everybody that knows about movies and everything know how great of a director he was. He changed cinema forever in Hollywood. Did some great movies. The list is too long to name. He was definitely known for The Godfathers and Apocalypse Now, two of his greatest movies, highlight movies of his career that he directed. This movie, The Godfather 2, to me was a little better than Part 1 because it went deep into the story of Don Corleone, which was played by Rob De Niro, showing a young Don Corleone, played by him, through the years, and him rising to the rise of power, how he became the great Don that he was, and got the family that he's supposed to die in the movie. Let's talk about number 8. Another movie a lot of people don't know about. It's called Miller's Crossing. Miller's Crossing came out in 1990. It was directed by Ethan Coen. It starred John Turturro, Gabriel Bride, Steve Buscemi. Steve Buscemi had a small part in that movie too. Miller's Crossing. And Miller's Crossing, man, what I liked about Miller's Crossing was the dialogue in the movie. It was well directed and well written. The mobsters in the movie, especially the big fat ugly mob dude that was in there, definitely gave you a perspective of the way the mob dudes used to talk back then. The action in it was good. One of the longest Tommy gun scenes that was in any other movie. When they came and tried to go after one of the mob bosses, he pulled out the gun and came up from the window and started shooting the dude that tried to kill him. Real long mob shootout scene that was real part of movie history and movie cinema that was great on film. The Untouchables, another classic DVD or Blu-ray you should have in your collection. I definitely recommend the Blu-rays. The DVDs is cool, man, but the Blu-rays you'll get that super clear, crisp picture, and then if you move up to 4K, you definitely gonna get something fantastic right here. But this is a classic joint from back in the day. There's a movie that one of my favorites. I put that on a number 7 list. It was done in 1987, directed by Brian De Palma. Brian De Palma, man, he did a lot of great gangster movies. He gave us Godfather. He gave us not the Godfather. He gave us Scarface. He gave us Carlito's Way, and he gave us The Untouchables. A lot of people don't know that he even did that movie. It was Rob De Niro. I'm gonna say his name a lot within these gangster movies because that's the names you hear a lot of. Rob De Niro, Pacino, and Pesci, and all them. They the great ones. They're Italian. They what Hollywood represent the most of from the characters that we grew up and loved during the times, and they depicted the best way that we could see it, and they played the characters to the fullest. And in Untouchables, Rob De Niro to me played the best Al Capone ever to this day. Like, you look the closest to him. He put on weight to get the role, and that's one thing that characters do, that some of the great characters do. Some of them lose weight, gain weight just to fit that character. And Rob De Niro did that a lot. A lot of the great actors do that. And he depicted him on the screen so well. Donnie Brasco, a real classic gangster joint you should have in your collection if you're a lover of the gangster mob movies. This is definitely in my top 10 as one of the best gangster mob movies. Al Pacino and Johnny Depp, two classic actors. You don't get no better than that. Donnie Brasco, man, was directed in 1997 by Mike Newell. It starred Al Pacino. You're gonna hear his name a lot too. Johnny Depp, which is an actor that I just started to add to the mix. Johnny Depp started doing gangster movies later in his career because he got a handful of gangster movies he did later in his career. But in the beginning, it was all Pacino, De Niro, and Pesci. But in '97, Johnny Depp joined the mix with Michael Madsen and Al Pacino playing an undercover cop. And when he played this undercover cop, he went into the mob like no other cop had went into the mob ever. True story. He went into the mob, cutting up bodies, became a mob member for real. And he got so deep that he became a mobster, and it was hard for him to get out of it. And he had to give the main character up, was played by Al Pacino. He was like beneath the underballs. Like he was like he did the dirty work. He did everything that was asked for him to do. But when they found out that Johnny Depp character was an undercover cop, Al Pacino character had to die because he was the one that led him into the crew. And you find out a lot of things about the mob in this movie, how when they kill somebody, they send somebody closest to you, which is true in real life. They get somebody, your closest friend, or your brother, your cousin, or your best friend to do the hit on you. Somebody unexpected, and they've been doing that for years. And this movie, man, Johnny Depp played was a deep movie because after he gave up the character and gave up what the mob was doing, only thing he got was a pat on the back and a plaque. Pulp Fiction, definitely a DVD or Blu-ray you should have in your collection. Had the definitely one of my favorite gangster joints of all time. Had to put it on my top 10 right here. Directors of all time, of our new millennium, Quentin Tarantino, like I said, he was the man that bends the truth to the fullest. You know, he puts things together that ain't supposed to be put together. He put music from this time mixed in with like times of like slavery times, and times of like from a whole different era that ain't supposed to be done. Like he goes against all the rules of directing, and he don't do the scenes the way they supposed to be done. Like most people, the scenes of splitting scenes and doing it differently was never done the way like Quentin Tarantino did it. Like starting a movie from the middle or starting it from the back and then coming back to it wasn't the first time it was done, but Quentin Tarantino just took it to a whole different level. Pulp Fiction was done in '94. It was directed by him. A lot of well-known stars was in it. Samuel Jackson. It was John Travolta. You had Bruce Willis. You had Ving Rhames. You had Christopher Walken, Uma Thurman, and they took these characters. All they characters in Pulp Fiction, all of them did these characters to the fullest and had memorable parts. Like all their characters was like memorable. You can remember lines that they said that made them all stand out on their own. And you know, you had real famous lines, real famous directing scenes. And the thing I love about Pulp Fiction is that it was a movie that ain't never been done before, like you never seen. The stories was well directed, stuff that's happening like that blew your mind.